So this summer I found on Pinterest a site where you could do your own newsletters. And in the past I've done one on Publisher, but I found this one just a little bit easier. On this site, and I can email it to Mrs. Engel and she can forward it on to you guys. They're just different kinds of fun. And you know, I teach kindergarten, so the more the color, the better. So there's just a whole bunch of different templates you can choose out of. And then I think it goes higher in grade level. You can kind of pick what you want to. I picked, let's see, the cutest one possible, which was a bunch of kids coloring. And just, you know, you plug in your information up here. I found kind of what I want my parents to know to be the heading of all of these different areas on my newsletter. Important dates, like I said, I teach kindergarten, so communication kind of gets lost between a little 5-year-old to the parent. So I want to make sure they know. This is my first one I did. Just kind of introducing them, I guess, to my classroom. The newest one, November. So I talked about when parent-teacher conferences were, for important dates, you know, school, yada yada, classroom news. Don't forget about filling out our bookmarkers. You get a free pizza at Pizza Hut. And then I wanted them to know, you know, special things like we have a birthday coming up. Then over here, what we're learning, just so they kind of know and they can reinforce to, you know, they can kind of reinforce what we're learning at home. What our high frequency words are. The next few weeks we'll be introducing we, my, like, yada yada. The letters we'll be doing, I told them, so they can do different activities at home with the letters. And I told them kind of what I want them to do. So I said we want our students to be able to look at a letter and identify and say its sound quickly. So just so the parents know that's what I want, so that's what they should be doing as well. Math, I did the same thing. Writing, same thing. Social studies. Part of my day from 2 to 3 is kind of social studies, social skills / art, kind of what falls on the day. So I let them know, you know, we're working on classroom and school rules, the procedures, discussing how to ignore distraction, which is one of our, what's that called? Project and Achieve goals for that month. Art, you know, we did things with election, Veterans Day, what we're being thankful for, and then just different tricky crafts. Down here in this little square, I did little tips for the parents, just because, you know, we don't all have the perfect parents out there. So, like my literacy tip for that month was use your flashcards. I sent home to write out sentences. So like I sent home, I am the, so they could do like I am the, and then they could draw a picture of a cat. Have your children identify letters on billboards or as they're driving down the street, you know, like S for Shopko. My math tip, I gave a little math tip for them to do, and then I gave them my information down here in case they ever need to contact me. And then there's also more pages, you know, like if you do a student of the week, other information, and that is it. Is there any questions? Okay.
Thank you. You said you found it on Pinterest?
I did.
And there's a template
Yes.
on Pinterest?
Yep, well,
Okay.
I found it, so like here's my Pinterest website, and I just emailed it to myself so I could have it. And then you just click on there, and it sends you to this site, and then you just click on that again.
Will they each have
So-
to have a Pinterest account?
No, so like if I were to send you,
If you send it to me, I can put it out on our listserv.
yeah, so if I send this email to you, you just click on the hyperlink, it sends you to this site, just ignore it and click on the picture, and it'll send you right to the website.
Yeah.
And then from here, you just pick what newsletter you want. And I think, like, if you were to pick, I think that's not good. You just click on it, it opens, and then you might want to, I think maybe right-click it, or click here to create a. Fill in the highlight fields, then click create PDF. So there must be, I don't know. Oh, right here.
Create
I'm
a
sorry.
PDF. There you go.
Create PDF. So you just click clicked on that. I'm sure it just says open, save, you probably want to save it, and then you just plug in your information. Super easy.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I can email that link to Mrs. Eagle when you guys can get it from us.
Yeah, I'll give it out to all of you. When I saw it, I had seen some of the other ones at the elementary, and they're wonderful, and this one that we have here is also wonderful, how she put all of the kids on, and that she's thankful for that, you know, that's really neat too, but in the time constraints that you have, if the template's right there, I just really think that that was a really great option for new teachers as well as all of us that are going to send something home now.
And I've always done newsletters. My first year, I was really nervous about it just because like I would never get it done on November 1st and have it ready. But I figured, you know, if they get it in the first week of November, we're good. And I think the parents, you know, just as long as they get something from your teacher letting them know what you're doing in class, I think they're thankful, whether it's the 15th of November or not.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's awesome. So, thank you. Yeah, any other questions? So these are the kind of things, if you are doing them in your classroom and I missed you doing them, please let me know because we could share them. I think that everyone can take something away with that. And also, oh, we have to hook my computer up.
And I covered all subject areas. Music, you can do them specifically in your content area, or you know, if you teach at the elementary school, it can be a little bit broader, or like I could have chosen to do mine just in reading. And those are all listed on the National Board website, which I think there's a link on one of these sheets, but it's just the National Board of Professional Teaching Standards.
So if you get it just in reading, I mean, you're still a national board certified teacher.
Yep, my certification doesn't mean anything different than anyone else's, and what it happens is, you make the choice to start out. The El Bogan Foundation in Wyoming, we're pretty lucky, they've established a foundation to help pay for it. I actually did mine when I was in Converse County, and so I think it ended up costing me like $65 total, because the El Bogan Foundation covers so much of the money. So, you know, as a new teacher, I was in my third year thinking I was either going to start my master's or that. And just because, you know, I could come up with the $65 to do that way easier than financing a whole nother, you know, degree. So I think that here it would cost you $565 to do yours, because this district doesn't cover that first $500, which maybe it's something we can work on for a piece of that. I know that it's starting to be pushed more and more. If you go online and play on their website, it's kind of neat, and there are a handful of nationally board certified teachers in this district, but this El Bogan Foundation that funds this has some ideas for having more teachers become nationally board certified in schools and in districts, and they will give money to districts that have done it and all kinds of neat things. But no matter what you choose to do, if you choose to do it, the fourth entry is always documented accomplishments. The first three entries vary. They're written, videotaped. I think that everybody has 2 videotapes that are 15 minutes long that you can't edit, just of you teaching, just to prove that you do what you say you're going to do. I had to do one on literacy, I had to do one on social studies, and then I had to do one that was math and science integrated together. And then the fourth one is documented accomplishments. The documented accomplishments piece gets kind of tricky if you do it earlier in your career, because it's anything you've done that impacts student learning in the last 5 years, and it kind of ties in with the communication piece. If you submit that entry and you say that I send a newsletter home every day, that's not good enough. They want to know you send a newsletter home and it's a two-way communication. If you send a newsletter home, you're doing your part, but there's no communication coming back, so it's a lot about that feedback. So I just put together some things that talk about the 5 core propositions for National Board Certification, just some ideas behind it. Any of us do, no matter what area you're in, revolves around, you know, that you're committed to your students and learning, that you know the subjects and how to teach them, that you're responsible for managing student learning, that you think about your practice and learn from experience, that reflective piece. And then the last part is that you're part of a learning community. So anything you do that impacts student learning can be included in this. I know that people have ran the Read Across America Day. at their school that they've organized readers to come in. Well, that ties right back into student learning. You can do a lot of communication with parents. Anything you do above and beyond can be documented in this, so it's important to keep those artifacts. If you have pictures from those days, if you have emails that parents have sent you that you've written back, print those off and put them in a file somewhere because you might need them for this. And I struggled with finding all those pieces by that point. It was a good thing I never erased any emails because you need all of those. And I know we have pictures from that. One thing to keep in mind while you're doing it, I was coaching when I did mine, and I tried to use coaching. It might work for you if you teach in the right content area. Early childhood generalist, it did not do me any good at all. So really think, that's what I would have kept was anything I did extracurricular, but my extracurricular work didn't impact student learning in my content area. So really keep that in mind. These are just a couple pages that talk about, what did I do? What do I do that impacts student learning? What I did, why it worked. I thought this might be a good sheet just to fill out for those accomplishments if it's something that you're possibly interested in doing. During your third year of teaching, you can start. So I know that a lot of people here are getting pretty close to that. And I'm a candidate support provider. If anybody has any questions, I can sit down and visit with you. I have more handouts. The easiest thing to do is kind of to go online and read more about this. The other thing that happens in Wyoming, we're pretty lucky because if you do get your national board certification, they write you a $4,000 check every December for 10 years. So the financial piece really comes into play. And I will tell you that everybody that I did this process with or have talked to started for that $4,000, and the growth that they felt throughout this process made it even more worth getting that check is nice, but it was worth it. It's not necessarily an easy process, but it's something to think about doing. So, I don't know, does anybody have any questions? It's kind of hard I don't know how much everybody knows about national boards or anything. If you think of anything later, I can answer them too.
Erin, it definitely is a reflection. I did the pilot, 15 years ago, so they could set some criteria in the physical education area. And my stuff's locked up, her stuff's locked up, they won't let us share that. But I just got through helping my daughter pay $8,000 to do her master's. Okay? So if you want growth and income, it's a great thing because it directly reflects in your students. I mean, everything you do in that portfolio that's what they're looking for, and that's all we're talking about in this district. So Mr. LaCroix was very happy. She approached us last time to present this, and I think we can make some moves even with that $500 possibly, but it is a huge opportunity for you to grow and for income because we may be frozen forever.
And you're not, if you decide to do it, it's not like they send you this box in the mail, and it can be completely overwhelming, because if you start printing off everything that you have to read through, it is like unreal. You're not alone.
It's a lesson in organization in itself.
It is. I became more organized during the process. I don't know if it held up over after the process, but you have to be. And one thing that they really do is they'll send you to workshops. They'll put you up in a hotel room in Casper to work for 2 days and they send a whole bunch of candidate support providers. They call different ones of us. Will go down there, and depending on the content areas of candidates. Right now, Wyoming has over, I think the last count I heard was 125 candidates. And nationwide, it's a 3-year process. You can certify in your first year, it's possible. A lot of people certify in their second year. I think the first year, 3 out of 10 people certify in their first year. I think it goes up to 5 out of 10. Wyoming's doing a little better than that right now just because they have such a strong support system. So if it's something you're interested in doing, it's a good spot to be in. And I have 2 handouts. This one talks about the L. Bogan Foundation that funds a lot of this, and that it talks about the workshops that they provide on one side, and then the other side kind of talks about the costs and some of the people there. And if you contact Tiffany White, can answer any questions that you have as well on here. They're pretty good about getting back to anybody with questions.
Erin, if you're a first-year teacher, should you collect that documentation as well, even though you might not be able to, is it a 5-year span?
If it's 5 years,
Okay.
anything, you can go back to, anything you did 5 years ago can be included in that portfolio. And I think that it's 3 or 4 pages of documentation, it changes a little bit, they revamp it.
The other thing is
keep
too, is
it.
like newspaper articles, if you are doing something significant in your classroom and they come and they report on that, or you have a write-up in the paper, that's documentation of student learning, you know, so just be thinking about some of those things, it could be huge.
And I don't know, it's a cool process, and I would say that I learned more doing that than I ever learned in any, postgraduate classes, just because the reflection piece is so big and it's everything we're talking about anyways, so. But if you have any questions or if it's something you're interested in, just shoot me an email or we can sit down and talk. And I have a couple of these flyers for anybody. I know that there's a lot of you that already could start. And so I have a few of these left that you can grab that have some information about what the process is like. And Wyoming has been they focused a lot on Wyoming because so many teachers, for as few of teachers as we have in our schools, a lot of people are doing this, so it's kind of a cool process. But if anybody wants one of these, take one and I can email and see if they'll send us more too.
Yay, Erin, thank you very much. Do you guys know what week this is?
11.
It's actually education week. So here's your honor. Any other comments, concerns, criticisms? I take them all. I am hearing and seeing absolutely wonderful things happening in the classrooms. I have yet to get into some of your classrooms. I've been locked in my office in some of the areas. Sometimes I walked in, you don't even know I'm there, and I'm just amazed. I'm just going, they don't even know I'm here. I sat down in hers for about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
She's just engaged. She's got a lot of, he was talking to me. Oh, yes, we have a comment.
I have a comment. Do you guys want to hear it? My son still thinks that Miss Vineyard is the greatest teacher ever. And my daughter seconds that.
Oh, well, thanks.
Yep,
I'm pretty fond of them.
So you had Miss Vineyard last year.
And watched me get bucked off at a branding and
Which we
waited until
thought
9:30
was-
in the
Well,
morning.
now let me tell you this. You're a nationally certified teacher, is this correct? She's going through the induction program and she's taught me a whole bunch. So, thank you, Erin. She calls and gets me in her class and call and get me in your class. She uses and abuses me. I thought it was great fun. But she was smart enough, I said, you know, she actually got me engaged with the students and then I got to watch her be engaged with the students. It wasn't, you know, menial, hello, here, just you're another body. It was awesome. And so that's what I would like to see because then I really get to see about the relationship you have developed with those students. And I was in your room the other day, well, it was early on, but I'm sitting there and the kid, she's engaged up there and the little, I don't even know, the little boy said, who are you and what are you doing here? And I said, I'm really not sure. So he just quick, you know, I didn't want him to interrupt his learning, but the more I get in, the better the kids will be. High school is really hard for me to get in, your doors are shut, and that sometimes, you know, I hate to go, so I'll maybe send out an email just to. No, I know that, yeah, I know that. Yeah. Okay, I'll get in there. Has everyone had their first evaluation? Okay, those are before December or November 30th, I believe, so everyone should be having at least their first formal evaluation plus several drop-ins. Well, you have it. Does anybody want to present next time? You want to think about it? We could have a party at my house on the 19th. And a meeting, that would be fun.
Yeah, party meeting.
We could play ping pong and all kinds of things.
I just want to point out, Alex Shaman's not here, so.
Yeah, there are two that are missing. They're in trouble. They didn't read the bottom of the, how many of you read the bottom from Mr. Brad? It says, please, if you have other obligations. And the problem is that last week, or last time it was on there that we would have it on the 14th, but I verbally said to you, because Brad was going to be gone, I said we may change it. So, and then I spaced it with the baby and stuff, so it may be partly my fault. But that's what we want to fix. We don't want you to be guessing when it's going to be. We want you to know and we want you to be prepared. And I am going to try some things as we get better with the technology, because if you think you had struggles today, Bo sits with me often because you forget I'm in a different era than you people that have been on these things all of your lives. And I get very frustrated when I can't even, it's not fun, it's just not fun. So I don't like it when you're frustrated. I hope we got through everything. We're a little bit early, there's time to eat, so please eat. Any questions? Does anyone have anything they'd like to say or share? Any fun sharing things that you need to know about? Okay, thank you so much. We're proud of you. You did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And I appreciate all of you. Well, yeah, because you're, what was that guy who was like,